I think you hold the record. And when I say you, I mean your company, for having the longest process to create a single flyer in our company's history. I think it went on for like 7 months. You know, you had your son create a flyer, and you stepped in once in a while. You made it longer.
Don't kill me on the flyer, man. Don't kill me on the flyer.
You made it longer.
Yeah.
Honest to God, 7 months to create a flyer. That's the joke around here. No one will ever beat Marty's record. So. Congratulations. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. You know, people always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we explore the daily lives of CCTG graduates and the lenders that serve them. And this episode I've been waiting for a long time. I've been trying to get a hold of this guy. He's very busy. He's dodging all our calls because he is busy, and that's a good thing. But let me introduce Marty Chera of Express Capital Financing. Hey, Marty.
Hey, how you doing, Kris?
I'm good. I finally got a hold of you.
Finally got a hold of me. I finally got a hold of you, too. You're just as busy.
Well, I'm glad COVID didn't get you down there.
Thank God. Thank God.
I know. Is everything? How's
God.
everything doing health-wise? Good?
Thank God. I mean, immediate family, yeah, but we did lose 2 uncles and 2 cousins, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Hey, Marty, long time no speak. I know we've done a lot of email, but thank you for taking the time to be on this podcast. And obviously, the fact that you're on here, I think, proves the fact that I think you've been very, very successful at this business. So congratulations to your growth. I know you guys have been doing a lot of things, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But what I want to do is take me through life before CCTG. What were you doing? I know a little bit about that you were an entrepreneur before this, but what were you doing before you actually found CCTG?
Yes, I'm an old-time guy where, my father was in retail back in the 80s. And, I graduated high school. I went into retail, been in it from the, I'm going to say the early, the mid 80s, 90s, and the early 2000s. Went from 1 store with me and my dad up to 5 stores. So I've very been, entrepreneurial, where looking to grow and have many stores and have many facets of income coming in. Mm-hmm. So that's where I come from.
That's where you come from. What did you guys sell? Like what kind of?
So we were like a Bed Bath & Beyond, but on a smaller scale. So it was home decor, towels, sheets, curtains, things like that nature for the home decor, retail trade.
Okay. All right. And you guys are located where?
So I live in Brooklyn, but my stores were in the Bronx and, the Bronx and Upper Manhattan. So that's what we did. My father always tell me, you want to stay, your store's got to be close. You don't want to have Washington, New York, and New Jersey because you're never going to be able to control it. Right. So that's what he told me, and that's what I stuck to.
So, and that's fascinating. So you didn't really have any finance experience per se, at least what you're doing now.
Nothing. I didn't have to read profit and losses, no tax returns. I just rung up the register, created my crew schedule, and helped the customers, and that's what I did.
And that's what you did. And so how the hell did you stumble your way into this industry? I mean, how did you find it? Were you looking for us, or did you just happen to stumble across us? How'd you find it?
Kris, I'm going to give you the greatest compliment. I worked for a friend of mine after retail, being in for 30 years, and merchant cash advance. And one of his cold callers said, Marty, you're so good on the phone. You're so good with talking to people. Look at this company, Commercial Capital Group, and I think they can help you. And this lady looked like I hate to say it, but she looked like a person on the street, those homeless people. But she was great on the phone too, because she was an ex-AT&T. And I say the word AT&T because that's an ex name. Wow. And she was very good cold calling. And she said, look into this because you're very good with customers. And I think you would be very entrepreneurship to own your own company doing this instead of working for your friend. And next thing I knew, I'm sure I called up and I spoke to your sales manager. I forgot his name at the time.
Mike,
Mike, spoke to him on the phone, came down there, and the rest is all history.
So let me just back up for a second. So you worked for a company that actually took out a merchant cash advance?
Yeah, I knew nothing about it, but
Okay.
being out of the retail, I had no income coming in, and a friend of mine said, "Come in and work with me." I was never a cold caller, didn't know what to do. I was, retail, buying this, selling that,
Sure.
fixing this, and ringing up the register and paying my bills. I didn't know what I was doing. The first few months, I was very unsuccessful, and then I had to, just transform myself and read books on how to be a salesman and a closer.
Yeah. Right. So that's a very interesting way of how you kind of stumbled into the industry. You actually worked for a company, I got a merchant cash advance that turned you on to the whole kind of other world. And then, how the hell did you find us though?
So, like I said, I don't know, somehow she knew you and she says, "Marty, look at this because you're not just a salesman, you're an owner of a company and you could be. And you got that salesmanship and entrepreneurship to be a successful company." And like I said, I met Michael on the phone and I first came out to you guys and met you guys in person. Maybe I didn't meet you, I'm not sure, but met
No,
you
I remember
guys.
that. I remember that.
You
So
do?
I'm going to talk about that. Yes. I remember because occasionally now what you did a rare thing with the graduates we put through here when we were in person. I'll get maybe 1 to 2 people a year that actually fly or drive up before they actually invest in the program. And I don't understand why more people don't do that, but it is what it is. Maybe we do our job good. We're very transparent on what happens here. But you came up because you were close. I mean, you're downstate, you're not that far. And you drove up, I feel, right, prior to investing to kind of meet everybody, shake
I
people's
did.
hands. And I remember you and I met, and I remember uh, it was like the CIA. You came in and you asked 1,001 questions, which you should, because it is a lot of money. But I remember you asked a ton of questions, and the only thing I remember about you was you were nervous. You were nervous because it was a big leap, and you had no idea what was, about this industry. Am I correct?
I was going into a home, yeah. Like, retail, you're comfortable, you're successful. I've built up from one store to five stores. I made 75,000 up to 400 grand. And finally, retail was being shut down. The big box stores and the rents were going sky high because retail was a great commodity then. So,
Right.
and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. So I was going from that to being a salesman. Yes, wanted to make sure. And I took your bronze package. I think that's what you called it then. Is that your
Platinum package.
platinum package?
Platinum.
And yeah, I was concerned like any other investor does. And when people call me today, I always say, I'll go through that after, but I explain the positive points about capital training, what they offer, and how they can get you to the next level.
Yeah. So, and yeah, I remember that you were very, and listen, I understand it's a large investment, but you were very, very, cautious, skeptical, and we're used to that sort of thing. And it is a lot of money to throw into a place that you really know nothing about. So you eventually made the leap and you were probably sweating on the way back. So tell me about that first time you walked into class that week. Were you ready to go, or were you still like, what the hell am I getting myself into?
So I'm going to bring up something that's very positive. What you said at the very end of the training in the 7 days is
Uh-huh.
that you said, "Folks, I know I'm giving you a lot of information, SBAs, merchant cash advance, hard money, that money. But one thing stuck in my head 4 or 5 years ago is pick your niche, pick what you're happy with, pick what you're comfortable with, and go with it." Because an individual or a company that wants to do many things, like my father said also, you're not going to succeed. So what you said and what my dad said, may rest in peace, kept inside of me, and that's what I stick with.
That's what you stick
Uh,
with, yeah.
that's what I stuck with.
So you went through training, you got educated, and then you left. And talk to me about those first couple of months. What did you end up focusing on?
So in the beginning, since I knew MCA before I came into you, which is merchant cash advance, I kind of stuck with it. I bought leads, was not successful, and I'm gonna praise your company again on the marketing team. And I won't forget this as my witness. My sons, so I'm Jewish, and my grandson's bris, what you call 7 days, where we have a circumcision on that day. Alex put out a campaign for real estate finance, and I got my
My
first.
Alex, my
Yeah,
Alex.
your Alex put
Okay,
out a camp, and I told him to do merchant cash advance, but by fluke, he put in, a commercial mortgages, and we did our first deal from that. From that day, we did our first mortgage with one of the lenders on your platform.
wow,
Because I come from retail, I know square footage, I know about
Right.
things like that. And also it was helpful, but it was a fluke and it worked out great. And ever since then, it was our success.
So you're talking about the leads that came with your package.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, 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 yes.
Wow. And
So
so
yes.
so you got thrown into real estate, and that's kind of what you concentrate on now, right?
That's all I concentrate on now because, like you said, and my dad said, stick with one thing, what you like and what you know, because that's what you feel comfortable in. Yes, there are many brokers that do many things, and that's great. But when an entrepreneur sticks with one thing, and he could succeed with that, and put all his efforts and his enthusiasm and motivation into that, is what's going to make them succeed. And
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Absolutely. And so, man, what a journey you've had, because I see you guys are doing a lot of things, and I'm gonna step back for a second. So the other part of that package, just to remind you, if you don't already know, is the SEO.
Mhm.
And you guys dominate. I mean, the five boroughs, when we look up keywords, different keywords of stuff, you guys come up on the first page for a lot of stuff in the five boroughs, for a lot of terms around commercial real estate financing.
Right.
I know we kind of helped you get there because SEO is included in your package. Talk to me about that. I mean, has that helped your business? People calling and emailing?
Yes, by all means. Like you said, also, you got to network. You got to put your face out there. Pre-COVID, when I went to the class, of course,
Yeah.
put your face out there, put your name out there. Everything is about brand recognition. So, like, yes, everything you and Alex and the team have said is very important. And I always tell people, being in this business, do everything that you can to get your name out there, whether it's in today's times, Facebook, Twitter, webinars, seminars, get out there because name, face recognition is all very important.
Yeah, like the other day, I was showing somebody an example. I show the class, believe it or not, when I teach class, you don't even know about this. When I teach class and we talk about SEO, I actually use kind of your website as a little bit of as an example. Like,
Nice.
so in other words, if you Google like, fix and flip financing NYC or New York City, you guys come up on the first page. I
Mhm.
mean, and a lot of other surrounding keywords, and so people understand kind of what it really means. But yeah, and you're right. It's not just SEO, and that's one component, but it's the whole diversified approach to marketing, which I
Yep.
think,
Yep.
is how you're successful.
Yep.
Talk to me about your journey of growth. I mean, year after year, you guys seem like you're growing every year.
So yeah, so like I said, started out after capital training, doing some merchant cash advance. The first few months, me and my son David, I wasn't comfortable, so I wasn't successful. After that, that one lead that did a mortgage a few months in, we started doing our first commercial mortgage. And I told my son, let's just do campaigning of pay PPC, SEO, whatever it takes on commercial mortgages, because I know retail, I know stores, I know square footage, I know, everything there is to know about that. So I was comfortable with that. And we were brokers in the beginning. We were definitely brokers in the beginning, especially with the hard money. And then after a while, we went to banks and some private investors and some other facilities to get our own funds to do, thank God, to become our own lender. People, banks, and facilities trust us,
Wow.
and we're doing a nice amount of business where we're our own lender. So,
Wow. So yeah,
and
so you guys made that transition. You guys
we
made the transition from broker to lender, which, a lot of people aspire to. We've had a few people that have done it before through here. Well, congratulations. I mean, you guys have,
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you. It's a lot of hard work. I didn't come home till 12 o'clock at night. I went everywhere and anywhere possible. I drove, I flew to get my name out, my face out, and, to get as much deals as possible to
Mhm.
show my investors the volume and they could trust us. Yeah. And I would tell, all your newbies to your existing, it's going out there, showing your trust, your capacity, your credibility, and all that. So another
Yep.
thing you taught us was, the credibility. So it's not just sometimes you may not get a deal done, but if you could show your credibility by the knowledge and the experience or helping that client, maybe you can't do it, but helping that client where to go and how to go, he's going to remember you. And that's what's important also.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Well, that's fantastic to hear that. And we could probably spend just an hour on that talking
Oh
about the
yeah.
transition, but I mean, that very, a few have done it for sure. You're not the first person. Few have done it, but it's definitely a small group, which I always say anything's possible when you leave here. I mean, I bring up like people like yourself and others. It all depends on how much hard work, and let's take me through that. I mean, it's hard work. I mean, it's not easy. I mean, yes, the package assisted you in leads and you know, we got you to a place where it would have been much harder to get to if you didn't come through training. But when you leave here, it's hard work, right?
It
I
is
mean,
hard work. Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And one thing my wife said to me when I went out there in the beginning to meet you guys, she says I was always somewhat good with numbers, since I was a retailer. So you teach profit and loss, you teach how to read a tax return,
right,
you reach how to communicate with a lender, which is important because when a lender, like thank God I'm a direct lender now, and when I see packages that are horrible, and you said it in your class, what lender's going to look at it? I'm just not here to waste my valuable time if I
right.
can't get a normal package in. And that's what you teach, and that's what's important from a lender's perspective. But walking it through, like I said, is brand recognition, going out there, meeting people, talking to them. Get to their needs, their wants, and their goals is the most important thing. And that's what I say to all my clients. I don't want to give you just the best rate. I want to understand what are your needs, your goals, and your strategies that I can get you to where you want to be.
Right.
Not always is the best rate the best program for you. And that's what something that you taught, and that's something that I convey every day on my conversation.
That's good to hear. I mean, yeah, because sometimes it's not even about the rate. It's about maybe you don't want to put as you don't want to put minimal money down, right? So maybe the whole cash or equity portion is more important than what the rate is. I mean, it just
Right.
depends on how long you want the money. Depends on what you're doing with the money. Are you rehabbing? Are you there's a lot of factors that go into it.
Exactly, exactly. And everybody wants, but I tell them it's what you qualify for. So that's what's important too, and that's something that you conveyed in your training classes. It's what the client, you have to put it in front of them, even though you want high leverage and low rate, you may
Right.
not qualify. This is what you qualify for, and are you ready to move forward?
Right.
And that's for
Is you share the same sentiment and my career. I always found that people that are doing a business loan or even a commercial real estate loan, they somehow think it's going to be the same as their consumer loan, right? Like they're going to get the same rate as their mortgage, they're going to get the same rate as their car loan, and it doesn't work out that way. And do you find trying to educate people?
I do. I educate them. Yep, yep. And one thing that you taught, which is you don't want to deal with tire kickers. You want to make sure you're dealing with a viable client,
Right.
and if you can't help them, steer them where you can help them and guide them. But of course, if they don't understand that what they qualify for is what they want, I can only lead them to the well, but I can't force them to drink it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing that I admire about what you've done with your business, which I think is a beautiful thing, and others have done it before, but you've kind of made it a family business. I mean, you brought your sons into it. So you want to talk about that? I mean, that it wasn't like that originally. I think you gradually had your sons step into the business. Tell me about that.
Yeah, and Chris, I'm going to be thanking you on this because you always said if you don't submit a lender package properly, you're not going to succeed. They're not going to look at it.
Right.
I'm a horrible when it comes to that. I'm a retailer. I'm a salesman. I could talk you on what you need and what you want, and I could offer you hopefully the best rate and leverage, but I cannot submit a package for the life of me. So I had to bring my son in from a nice six-figure income job and say, you got to come with me. And he came with me. In the beginning, it was tough, but we did it. And he is one of my underwriters here. We got 8 people in our
Wow.
office over here, so we got underwriters and processors. So he's excellent with that, submitting it, whether it's to a bank deal or something like that. So having my two sons, he's my underwriter. My second son, I brought him in from Keller Williams in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And I told him we were growing by leaps and bounds and we need other loan officers here. So I'm proud to say from you, the teaching, we have about 10 loan officers inside our company here. And my second son, handles all their, communications, all their
Wow.
responses and sales and closing techniques. So
So
yeah,
what was your son doing before the first one that you brought in?
he worked for my brother-in-law and as a wholesaler, and he's making a six-figure income. He was like 19 years old at the time. He was in charge of sales. And
Yeah.
I just told him, David, I can't submit a deal for the life of me. You got to come and help me. And he came in. And so
Yeah.
thank God, 2, 3 years later, now that we're lenders, he knows what, he tells my future loan officers what we want. And if we're ever submitting to a bank deal, he could submit it properly without ever getting a rejection.
Yeah, yeah, wow, wow. So, yeah, I mean, you're not a paper guy. So, I mean,
I'm not a paper
you're
guy.
and that goes true. You never put a salesman in kind of an underwriter's job.
Right.
I mean, you want to let them do what they do best, which is
Right.
sell.
Right.
And so you got your son involved. You convinced him to walk away from a lucrative job, and that must have been scary for him. Or was he excited?
It was, but I had to give him a piece of the action, and I was okay with that because my dad did it to me, so why not do it for him? And now,
Good for
3 years
him.
later, he's married, he's got a baby on the way.
Wow,
So
congratulations.
thank you so much. So he feels good, and anybody's got to be incentivized, whether they're a son or employee. When you incentivize them, whether it's commissions or a percentage of a company, it gives them more security. And look, that's I'm okay with that.
So now both of your sons are in the business, right?
Both of them are, yes. One is underwriting and one handles the sales team, and we're constantly growing. We're constantly growing.
That's awesome. And you and I were just talking before this interview. You moved into a bigger place, or you're expanding into a bigger place.
Being with you, I think 2015. So I think it's been 5 years. I'm proud
Yeah.
to say we're on 4 offices, and now we're going to our fifth. Yeah.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
it's an expense, but it's a good expense.
It's a good expense, yeah. And do you now you have reps around the country too?
I do.
Like your
I
own,
do.
okay,
I do.
all
I
right.
do. Yep. I
And
do.
how's that been?
It's a little challenging now with the COVID, with the Zoom, training them how to submit deals and, products and programs, because I used to go out there and do it. But it's, listen, I keep on going, keep on going. I always look for opportunity when there's ever a situation coming out there. And you got to be positive, excited, and any challenges that come your way, just look at it as what the challenges are and how could I bypass it to succeed.
Yeah, I
And I'm
think
sure
that,
you, I'm
yeah, no,
sure
I mean I think it's doesn't matter where you come from. You gotta have that entrepreneurial drive and you came from retail, but you still translated what you learned there into this model, which is you just gotta steer ahead and there's gonna be challenges for sure. I mean,
there's going to be challenges, but I'm sure you know this because you're the leader of your company that everybody needs financing, whether it's for their home, car, business, fix and flip. They always need financing. So this industry will never go.
no,
This industry will never go. Things may change, but it'll never disappear.
that never disappeared. No, no, and
Right.
it may change the way we do things. I mean, we had to change, we had to adapt, we had to go virtual with our training,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's really it's more crowded than ever actually, which is ironic. I mean, people save money. They don't have to
Yeah.
spend money for a hotel and come up and they could do it right from their own home.
Right.
Um, so tell me about looking back, what do you think's one of your biggest mistakes that you know now that you wish you would have known then coming out of the training and maybe operating in your first year or two in business? Anything you could think of that comes to mind?
Anything mistake that I made in my first year of being in the finance business?
Yeah, yeah, like a mistake that you made that you just didn't know,
Uh,
or any lessons you learned to kind of adapt?
Always, communicating with your customer, getting to their needs, their wants, and their goals. Everybody wants the best rate, everybody wants the best leverage, but I look to understand why do they want it. You want to save money? Why? Well, because I want to have lower cash flow. That's great, but then I go into, well, you're going to be this. Are you okay with that? So everybody wants to save money, whether they're buying an airline ticket or whether traveling, but it's understanding why, and I believe it or not, one of my investors because I want to make my daughter a wedding or because I want to save so I can have better cash flow,
Right.
or what, and that helps me identify now when I'm coming in with my proposition.
Mm.
Okay, this is what I got you, and here's why.
Right.
So that's the mistake that I made in the beginning.
That's the mistake. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the attitude that you have of the owner of your company. I mean, you're doing a million things. You're looking at the future, the bigger picture on how to grow the company. I got to tell you a funny story. Okay. And it's actually a running joke around here. So it's actually good. So I remember when you brought your son into the business, right?
Mhm.
Your son's younger. He's a little more hip to marketing. He's a little more hip to things like that. And, respectfully so, you're concentrating on the bigger picture, growing the company, operations. I mean, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And there's a running joke here that, obviously, as you know, with the platinum package, you get unlimited flyer creation, designs, and things of that nature. And you guys definitely took advantage of that. Some people don't, but you guys did. But here's the funny story. I think you hold the record. And
Uh,
when I say you, I mean your company,
yeah.
for having the longest process to create a single flyer in our company's history. I
Uh,
think it went on for like 7 months
mhm.
where, and here's what would happen, right? Your son would say, "Hey, we want these changes." And then we wouldn't hear from you like for a month. But then you would step in like kind of once in a while and say, "Wait a minute, why are we doing this? Let's change it." And then we're like, "Well, your son wanted us to do this." And then your son would step in and change it again. And it went on for like 7 months. And so you guys hold the record for the longest flyer create for a single longest flyer creation here. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we joke about that here, but
Okay.
I had to bring that up because it just shows how the positive thing is you're doing your thing and you're not worrying about the little minute details of creating a flyer. But then once in a while you'd step in and say, no, it has to be this way. And then, and then we felt like, there's two different directions going on with your son and yourself on the marketing flyer. But that means that you're concentrating on what you should be
Oh
concentrating.
yeah, gotta be watching your P's and Q's on everything.
You certainly have done that.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me about COVID. How did COVID affect your business? Or were you guys pretty well healed when COVID came along? Because as I was stating in other podcasts, the COVID is I've been through a couple downturns in my career in 20 years, but COVID was the first downturn with our graduates because we started in 2009, right? And so economy's been kind of growing ever since then. This is kind of the first hiccup. How did it affect you? And how did you overcome it?
So March and April, we did stop. We definitely stopped because we were concerned about the markets, a lot of fix and flips and the buy and holds.
Right.
We were on the phones at home. We wanted to be in communication with our investors, our clients, let them know we're still here for any questions or concerns. And a lot of them had concerns about, we can't complete the rehab because the contractors can't get out. And so me and my team were on there just being understanding, empathetic with them and telling them that don't worry, we're here for you. And then after March or April, early May, my sons were concerned about going back to the office, but I said, look, our zone opened up.
Right.
Let's go back in. Let's feel comfortable because if we're at home, we're not going to feel 100% effective. And we came back, just me and my two boys, making phone calls, newbies, or any of our customers. And then I'm going to say by May or maybe early June, we fully opened up. And I'm happy to say that we're in full operations, and we're back up to the normal leverage and rates and everything else too. We see the markets being ever so strong,
Right.
with fix and flips and buy and holds. So
Yeah.
it just slowed us down for about a month or two, but we would direct communicate. And again, my dad always said, be like my father in retail always told me, when my vendors, if you can't pay them, just tell them, give them a call. And you always said, be in direct communication with your clients or your brokers and tell them that you're still here. You're able to answer a sympathetic or an empathetic ear. And that's what we were there for. So I took your advice and my dad's advice.
No, that's that's great. You did that. And a lot of people, I think in the end, like for instance, we had, in our merchant cash advance portfolio, we had a couple of restaurants and such that couldn't pay. They just because they were closed down. And so we just called them and said, look, don't worry about it. When you open back up, we'll figure something out. But right now, don't stress about it. Because we had people calling saying, look, I can't, there's not going to be money in the debit that you're going to do, and the account, because we're just not open. And, and I never understood some of the lenders that did a full court press and started trying to liquidate these guys. It never made sense to me, because these guys can't pay because they're closed down. So yeah, as long as you're empathetic, sympathetic to the situation, because we're all going through the same thing.
Exactly.
In the end, you'll have a better customer, and
Exactly. If you work with them and they appreciate you being empathetic to them and all that, they're going to work with you much better. If you're just going to be a lender, where's my money, where's my rent, where's this, they're gonna, they're not gonna take heed to it very well. So I'd rather work with them than work against them.
Absolutely.
And I want them on my side.
Right. I mean, yeah, you don't want them against you. That's
exactly.
So
Exactly.
What do you think there's a succession plan with your sons? Are you kind of grooming them, or you're not ready to retire yet? You're not ready to get...
Nah, I'm only 55 years old, and I'll give it another 15, 20 years, hopefully. I love selling. I love going out, love traveling, love helping out clients. In this business, you said it in your training, it's not about selling to the customer, it's selling for the customer. It's always about helping them out. And that's what I like doing. And again, if I can't help them, I'll try to steer them in the direction where I can and will. And that's what I'm all about. So that's my nature, and that's what I love doing. And that's what I tell all, people that call me up and they want to go into this business. I say, if you could sell and you're a friendly, person, and you can convey that, and then that's what it's all about.
You got to like talking to people. Yeah, there's some guys that call us up or speak to Mike, and they say, I don't want to talk to people. And we're like, well, this isn't the business for you. You can't, go into retail,
Exactly, 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 exactly. You know what I'm saying? And people ask about your leads, like every other lead out there. It's great, but you got to know how to communicate and help the customer out. They're coming to you for money, but I'm sure they're calling up a million other people too. So
Yeah,
you gotta be not just the best rate, the best service, not just the best product, the
service.
best service. I
Absolutely.
always tell my customer, you're not buying the rate, you're buying Marty. You're buying Express Capital. That's what you're buying.
You are, because money can come from a lot of different places, but I think people tend to stick with people that truly care about their business and the service that goes along with that. And though I'm sure you get a lot of repeat customers,
Yes.
right?
Oh, you hit on a very sensitive topic. Very hard to get a new cost of acquisition for a customer, but it's very easy to keep the same customer. And again, that's something that you taught in the class, and I still do it today, is call up your customer day after funding. How was it? Were you happy? Anything I could
Right.
do with you and for you? Your repeat customer is the easiest one, but you have to maintain that relationship. And I repeat, maintain is something that you said. Keep it up. Keep on calling them. What else can I do for you? A week later, a month later. You
Well,
never know when they need you.
what's interesting is we did a poll a while back with NACLB, our association, right? And the poll was, what are to the grads and brokers, what percentage of your deals, right? Or I'm sorry, the poll was, how many deals do you do with the same customer? And we had all these responses. We tallied it up, and the average was one deal per year over 3 years with the same customer. And it's because, like you may work with a real estate, or let's say you work with a business that's buying real estate, right? They want to buy the building they're in. You could do that deal, but then maybe they need working capital a year later, right? So maybe you can factor receivable or give them a merchant cash advance, and so it's because you're diversified. They get that, a lot of our grads experience that repeat business, but only if, like you said, they approach them correctly afterward. They don't forget about them afterwards, because otherwise it's never going to work.
Mm-hmm. I tell them I'm not a mortgage home lender where they're going to call you once in 20 years. I'm going to be calling you every month. Are you okay with that? Even when they tell me no, I don't care. I still call them.
Do it.
you know, because even if I can't help them in a month from now, maybe it's their family member or a friend or somebody needs some kind of help, and that's what I'm here for.
Sure.
We don't make money if we just sit back. We got to make money by making those phone calls.
Yeah. Well, I have my attitude for my salespeople are buy or die. I mean, keep doing it until you physically can't do it, right? Or
That's it.
until the person says, get out of here.
That's it. That's it.
So, all right, let me ask you some quirky questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit me.
It's that time of the
Hit
day.
me.
All right. So if you weren't doing finance, and I don't want to hear retail, but if you weren't doing finance, you never found CCTG, what would you be doing? Or what is the follow-up is, what is like your dream job, right? I know my dream job, but what's your dream job? Like, if you could be anything in the world, sports player, doesn't matter, baseball player. I mean,
Look, I always wanted to be a pilot, but if I didn't find capital training, I'd probably be going into a franchise service business.
Okay.
All franchise, right. Maybe a accounting firm or, something like that, service business, maybe a consultant. That's what I like doing. Like I said, it's always about helping the customer. That's what I like doing.
Right. Well, and I got to imagine you enjoy the fact that we're not a franchise.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So what's one, looking at you, not knowing anything about you, what's something that somebody normally wouldn't know about Marty?
I like to, so it may sound humble, may sound a little bit, how do I say this? Unhumble. What's the word for it? But I like to help people, and like I said, one of the deaths that I had is my daughter-in-law's father lost her father during the COVID in March or April, and her parents have 12 children. Oh, wow. And the oldest is like 20 years old, ready to go into med school. And now he's got to think about supporting his family and killing his dreams. And I told my daughter-in-law, I want his number. I want to help him. I want to guide him. His father's not here. If I can guide him, I've always been that. I've always liked to help out people in need. I help out. I go to the, the poor people's houses and give out food and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So helping people is something that I like to do. So nothing to do with finance.
Okay. All right.
Advice, giving them that advice that I've, hardcore living is going to give you the best advice.
Right. Absolutely. And, by the way, I do appreciate you sometimes, speaking to some of our people looking into the program. And, I do appreciate that, because people were at the same spot where you were 5-6 years ago, kind of looking at us.
Yeah.
What this is thinking.
Yep.
things about. So that's evident. I appreciate that.
Mhm.
So if you could spend time with one person, let's say a day with one person living or that has passed on, who would it be and why?
I would say would be either Zig Ziglar or Brian Tracy. Reading their books, understanding how to, like I said, close and work with people, because I don't come from that. I don't come from that world. So working how to identify and read, read their body exposure and communicate. They've taught me how to be successful.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Zig
yeah.
Ziglar is a big,
Fascinating, fascinating author and entrepreneur himself. He came
yeah,
from nothing.
absolutely.
He sold Tupperware in the streets in the 1950s.
Mm,
So he learned hardcore, and he learned how to sell and how to how to understand people and communicate. And yeah, Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, unbelievable authors.
that's great. Oh, speaking of retail, you brought up Tupperware, but it, I imagine your wife is not as enthusiastic about your job that you did before, because I got to imagine if you're in retail selling home goods, you got you got the free picking of nice towels and nice, home goods things, and now you can't really bring any of that. I mean, is how does your wife feel about your new transition in the last 5 years?
She loves it because retail, I was working 6, 7 days a week. So now I'm
Uh,
home on Saturday and Sundays. Now it's just a phone call, picking up the phone if I want to help a customer. And
okay.
that's great at being about finance. You're not going anywhere physically except maybe to your office. But being in this industry, that's all it is. And you know this. You said in your classes, there's a computer and a phone, and that's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
And that's it. And that's it.
So you're home for the
I've done
family.
my first, maybe my second deal with your company, being on a patio of my porch, and it's in one of your podcasts in Florida, and my in-laws, condo in
Yeah.
Florida. I did that
uh,
second deal on their patio.
Yeah. Wow.
I won't forget that. It was $1 million deal, mortgage deal.
And you love to travel, so this allows you to travel,
I love
right?
it, love it,
Yeah.
love it. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? And something I just want to say something, to the folks out there. And I'm not just saying it because it's you, Kris, and you taught this, and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy's. When you're helping people, when you're giving back, that's when just it comes right back to you. And so it's definitely evident in my life, and I'm sure it will be in everybody else's life if they give
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people ask me, what's the motivation of doing CCTG, and yeah, listen, it is a for-profit business model, as I always say, but what I love is when I get to recircle with people like yourself, and they tell me, hey, we've did. I mean, well, let me ask you the question: how many clients do you think you've helped in the last 5 years? How many? If you could put a number
I,
to it,
I couldn't even give you that number.
roundabout.
I don't know. Maybe 500, 600, 700.
Okay. All right. So when you tell me that, that excels me to no end, because that's 5 to 600. First of all, yes, you paid us, but we gave you an opportunity. You took that opportunity and made it what it is today for you and your family and your what you wanted to do with the opportunity. And then when I ask you that question, you tell me you helped, 5, 6, 700 people possibly. That makes me feel good, because those 5 to 600 people possibly wouldn't have been helped without you, right? And
Exactly.
you came through here, and so that's what keeps me going. I
All right.
love to hear that. I love to
Thank,
hear stories like
yes. Thank you. Thank you. It is. It is.
that. All right, ask me something. Anything you want, personal, professional, anything, anything
Ask
at
you
all.
anything. Ask you anything. Well, I'm happy to hear that you're still doing the classes. I'm happy to hear that you're doing it through Zoom. Yeah, I mean, I do get calls. I get people emailing me about the courses, about the, everything. And how do I say this? It's not meant for everybody, and I'm sure you know that, and you
Sure.
displayed that. But it's a great course. It's a great industry. If you're not a people person, all these skills and trades can be done if you put in your effort. Is everybody going to get it in 7 days? No, you will get a lot. You will get a lot of skills and trade learned and information, but you have to keep on going. Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy, amongst other books, have taught me you have to learn every day, which I do. I get up at 6 o'clock and I read for an hour every morning to get me excited and motivated, and what I could do for my clients and investors. I even take out the word clients. I say for investors, because I want to treat them as my everyday investor and not as a client, so say.
Sure.
So Ask you anything? I don't know. I mean, how you doing? I love your office. I mean, I was there.
There's not one thing you're curious about all these years. What
I mean,
about
is everybody still on your team? Is John there? Is Alex still there? Jenna?
everybody's there? Jenna's here.
Got it.
Jenna has actually moved up in a couple of roles, which is great seeing that progression. There's a lot of opportunity here. Jenna started out as our, as our secretary, as our admin.
I remember in the front desk.
Yeah, and then now she's moved into a really high role, and she's really come into this, really, really, really good. So I love to see that. Alex is still here. John's still here. John actually just moved to Saratoga. He was in our Rochester office, and then now he moved closer to when we got this, much larger office. And the whole gang is here.
It's good. It's good. You know something, you're doing something very smart, and I did that in my retail, and I'm doing it here as well too. Taking your staff from a level 1 to a level 4 or 5, like you did with Jenner. If they could do it and they could handle it, by all means, they want to show you that they could do it. That's the greatest thing, because filling those positions are hard. But if you could take them from transition 1 to a level 4 or 5, which they're doing now, like Jenna, is great, and it's awesome. And everybody else could do it, but you got to know how to do it. You got to know how to.
You got to know how to do it. You got to have the motivation to do it. I mean, a lot of our employees, we have very low turnover here. And I think because a lot of we say when an employee comes in, we sit them down and we say, look, you can have the world here. You just have to be a go-getter. You have to ask for it. You have to want to do it. And, I'll give kudos to Jenna. She was one of those. We have a couple others here, but she was one of those that was very aggressive. And so when a position opened up, she goes, look, I want to do everything possible to try to apply for this. I want to show you what I can do. She was very aggressive about it. And that's what it takes. Yep.
That's what it takes in any company, in any industry. And everybody that's going into this industry, they have to have that same model themselves in order to get to, in order to get to the next level.
Yeah.
There's an abundance of money. There's abundance of products and programs. There's an abundance of capital out there. It's just all up to us entrepreneurs to make it happen.
Make it happen. Absolutely.
What else?
Anything else you want to ask me, or is that?
No. I mean, if you ever want to ask me something, I'm here. I'm just happy that I joined the company, the training, the support. I used to talk to John. I used to bust his ass when he used to be flying. And Marty, I can't talk right now. And I said, I got a deal now. I need to know how to do this and this. And he'd say, call you back in 2 hours. I'd say, I'm calling you back in an hour.
Well, that and Alex. I know you used to beat up Alex pretty good. Alex has his scars, but
I did.
We all love you.
All right, listen.
We don't take stuff personal. That's one thing we don't take.
You can't, because we're having this conversation now. And if you did take it personal, we would never have this conversation.
Right. No.
So that's what it's all about.
You gotta have thick skin at this. I'm sure you got thick skin in retail. I mean, come on.
I did.
How many people told you to go screw yourself and hung up the phone when you're trying?
I did. I had people stealing in front of me while I was operating my business. My
really?
Employees, my customers. Oh yeah.
People were stealing from you in your business.
One time I had a store in a shopping center, and there were people just like 20 people just throwing things out the front door. I was like, and my manager didn't see it. And that's when I knew I had to get out. And a year later, I was finally out. So it's a blessing in disguise. Yeah. It's a blessing in disguise. Like I said, working for my friend, that lady to tell me about capital training, from Alex to doing that fluke of that, the commercial mortgages, and then the rest is history. It's all God's, doing things, and look how it all worked out.
Everything happens for a reason, I guess, right?
It all happens for a reason. Exactly.
It does.
And that's it. I'm happy to hear that you and your family, everybody's good.
Yeah, everybody's good. We're busy. We're, it's a good thing. We're trying to innovate and do things in this environment. And I think it'll get better. I mean, in general, COVID, I think, down the road here, it's going to get better.
There's going to be a lot of opportunities right now. When there's uncertainty, there's always opportunity. So,
I was going to ask, I appreciate your kind words. Let me ask you, there's a lot. I just read an article the other day about New York City, how there's like 16,000 vacant apartments.
Yeah. In Manhattan. Yeah.
In Manhattan, right? Do you see that in Brooklyn and the other areas?
So Brooklyn, it's, thank God the values have not dropped so much in the in the counties, but Manhattan is, I don't go there, but some of my friends have offices over there. They said it's dead. So office is down, retail is way down. It's going to take years till it gets back up there. It's going to take years. Right. It's sad, but anything else with this uncertainty, people got, if people are smart and the smart investors are going to take this opportunity right now, because like I said, with uncertainty, there's opportunity. And when there's a recession, millionaires are made. Mm-hmm. So we got to take advantage of that. Got to take advantage.
Absolutely. And it's going to take capital to do it. So
It's
you're in
going
a
to take
great position
capital
to do
too.
it. All of
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, listen,
Thank
Marty,
you.
we've taken your time. I want to thank you for graciously, carving out your time here in your busy day to talk to me. We've been at you for a while to do this, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate you talking to our folks and giving our folks some insight on kind of what's life's like. And I think this podcast certainly will help people, just know what life is like.
It's a service business. It's 5 days a week, and it's from your phone. I mean, I've done deals at the airport on my phone. That's it.
Have you really?
Because I already know the leverage, the rates, and all that kind of stuff, and what
Yeah.
needs to be submitted to me, and that's it.
Right.
So that's what it takes.
And you're happy. You love what you do?
I love what I do. I certainly do. I certainly do. Yeah. And building a team to going from level 1 to level 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 is very important. And you taught that. I think it was in your last day of training, I believe. Building a team now is the next steps to your success, because just doing it yourself, you're only going to do so much. But if you got a team behind you, sky's the limit.
Well, you got to learn how to delegate. And what's evident of that is the story I just told. You had your sons create a flyer, and you stepped in once in a while. You made it longer.
Don't kill me on the flyer, man. Don't kill me on the flyer.
You made it longer.
Yeah.
Honest to God, 7 months to create a flyer. That's the joke around here. No one will ever beat Marty's record. So. Congratulations.
Well, no problem. No problem. Whatever it is.
Hey, it's good to be first, right?
My play.
But no,
but
Marty,
that's one of many. We still have other, we still create a lot of other flyers.
Oh, no. I know you do, but that one took the longest. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, listen, Marty.
I'm going to tell you some insight to that, by the way, because that was a transition where we came from brokers to actual lenders. So a lot of things were changing for the benefit.
Okay.
So leverage and rates and all that. So that was a good thing. And like I said, no good thing comes easy. No good thing comes easy.
So, easy.
Listen,
we all love you here. Everybody loves working with you, and appreciate it.
Look, the environment that you created is good. Everybody's a team player. You tell your newbies to call up existing brokers or lenders, and that's important. And I can call them up to bounce something off. That's important too. Yeah. You're giving them that transparency. It's all there. The information are all there. So it's important, and it creates a comfort zone. So that's a good thing.
For sure. Yeah, because we're all going through the same thing. You know what I mean? We're all going through the same thing. Just everybody kind of does it a different way, or everybody.
No, but I'm saying you're giving my number out. You're giving my information out. Like I used to call them years ago, and that's important. Yeah. When a company's not giving out a past graduate or a past franchisee, that's a discomfort, and that's something that you're not doing, which is good. You're giving them that information.
We're more than happy to, we're more than happy to do that, and we appreciate you returning the favor, because if you can appreciate it, you were there 5-6 years ago wondering, can I speak to people? And so all we ask is, would you mind speaking to people once you get out there and start up?
Giving back, by all means. I don't care whether it's education, resources, tools, advice. I love doing it.
Great. Well, Marty, thank you. That's all the time we have. So I appreciate everything you do for us, and I wish you and your family best of luck throughout.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
All right, guys, that's this episode with Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we explore the daily lives of CCTG graduates and lenders. We will catch you on the next one. Thank you. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.